This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
Great to be back here again, folks. And I'm really looking forward to having a good friend, Bernie, on air with me. Bernie, how are you today?
I'm doing well. You know, I guess we qualify that now in these times, well as can be expected.
Right. We have to have faith. I'm a true big believer in faith and making sure that, try not to be so fearful. We have to ask questions. And I'm grateful, Bernie, that you're joining me on air and you're able to share a little bit about your story because we had worked with you. You're self-employed and you had some goals, right?
Yes, indeed, and was referred to you, Sarah, and in your company. I did have some specific goals in mind, and I think I can honestly say I felt very comfortable, and I'm a pretty transparent person in speaking to you very plainly about what my goals were, what my goals are, both short and long term. And as a self-employed person, I've been essentially a self-employed entrepreneurial person involved with sports broadcasting, writing, and researching primarily for my entire adult working life. I always say alleged chronological adult. I mean, you know, who's really an adult when you break it down? But at this point in my life, approaching, I guess you could say the big 6-0 here, we talked about just the trauma, the chaos, the upheaval in my life in recent years. I was a caretaker for two family members who have both now been deceased within the last little bit over a year. Mm-hmm. And my desire to stay in my home, both short and long-term goal to stay in my home, and talk to you specifically about that. You know, what would be with that objective in mind? What would be the best route to get from point A to point B? You outlined it for me, and were able to do what was necessary to put it in place to the point that I am now, and that I'm very optimistic and very encouraged about my ability to maximize my asset here with my home, where I've been living for many years, and be able to look to the future with hope that I'll be able to remain here. I didn't really have much of a desire to be able to move or to make a move at this point. And you were really, I have to give you credit above and beyond, Sarah, the first person that really set me in the direction that I thought was the right direction, or advocated that, essentially supported me in my decision. A lot of people, and I consider friends and people that I trust, that I've known for many years, were advising me otherwise, and I just didn't see that as the correct path and the optimal path for me. And you really backed me up to say no, that your home is your asset and primary asset for you, and the ability to stay there and maximize it was more than likely a much better option than the alternative.
Right. I mean, I think that one of the things is that, when you can refinance, which is you can take money out of the property because the value has gone up, and your goal is to remain in the home. And, I mean, you have options. If you refinance now and take money out, you could sell the property at any point. You could refinance again if you want. There are no limitations. But one of the limitations as being self-employed is most lenders will not give you many options based on, the income part of it. It's not because you're not making money. It's just the way income is disclosed when you are self-employed, right? So
that's true.
Right. So it's not, there's nothing wrong with how much money you're making. It's just the way it's reported. So it's not, we have a bank statement program which shows large deposits, in 12-month period. It gave you some choices which allowed you to continue as an entrepreneur. You do some amazing work, Bernie, and you've been involved. You do, and feel free to share a little bit about your company, and that's one of the things we are all about making the American dream happen and keeping our entrepreneurs alive and well financially. So
Yes, very important.
Very important.
Yeah. I have for many years. I'm based just outside of Boston, and I've been involved with broadcasting, specific regular responsibilities that I've had. I've been the voice of Boston University hockey and broadcast Boston University hockey for the past 35 years, and Harvard football for the past 23 years. And as I always qualify it, that's despite, I didn't have to retake my SATs to start doing Harvard football, so that was a big plus for me, since they wouldn't admit me when I was a senior in high school. But that's another story for another day. But built around those two primary broadcast gigs, if you will. I've also built up in for the sport of college hockey a series of podcasts that I do. And once again, this would be prime podcast season right now in March Madness, but obviously God had another plan for us here. But
absolutely.
But at any rate, I've established over the past decade, maybe a little bit ahead of the curve with the podcast. There were 6 Division I college hockey leagues, and I do the official podcast for 3 of the leagues. Also do podcasts for Boston University and Harvard University hockey that I'm involved with. And on the other side with Harvard football, I do a podcast for them. And I'm very proud of the fact that for the past decade, I have the only program that is devoted to college hockey on Sirius XM NHL radio out of Toronto, which is the Hockey on Campus program, which airs every weekend, Saturday and Sunday morning. So I've really built up, I guess you could say, in the entrepreneurial spirit, series of gigs and responsibilities, regular responsibilities, and that I've put under the platform, put as part of the platform of my company, Giant Sports Associates, and also been very active writing. I've either written, either authored, co-authored, collaborated, contributed to, or ghostwritten about 24 books during the course of my career as a writer and researcher.
I mean, I think, firstly, you're so, gifted, and also you are very transparent. And I think it's very important. I'm a big believer in dream making and keeping hope alive. And I think that, we were very blessed that you came to us, were referred to us, because being self-employed is different. It's a different type of guidelines, and we do work with folks who have W-2 employment, but also for self-employed, what we're seeing even now is guidelines are very, very, very strict. So we were able to do some things that I think will, it's not only benefiting a small business owner, but allowing you to grow and be able to continue down this path with, what you've done, impacted so many lives. So, we are grateful for that, and you're very busy. You took time out today because I know how it is, how hectic it gets. But times have changed a little bit, but hopefully things will. Yeah, God has a plan. Well, I always say God has a plan. Just get out of His way,
Absolutely, and as I look, I think the irony of all ironies here that has resonated with me, Sarah, is as I do a reset, and really courtesy of you and your company. And I've got to also say, I went to my bank, and the bank that I had done business with for a long time, and I also had a person who I consider a friend here in the area that I'd worked with previous, and did not get the response that I had hoped for. I didn't have the deal in place, if you will, that I was hoping, and you exceeded expectations once I was referred to you to allow me to be in the position that I am. And then I think God just, God took the ball from you at that point and said, okay, you want to reset everything, clean your house, and move ahead? Well, I'm going to give you a lot of time to do it.
Right. It's perfect. Yeah. And we, it's such a joy because we have this connection now. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where God plans. We just have to be patient and get out of His way. And I want to thank you, Bernie, for coming on air, talking about your refinance,
Sure.
cash out And I look forward to having you back on again if you have time, because I know how busy you get. But thank you for joining us today, Bernie.
Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. And let me privately thank you a number of times, but I'll publicly thank you and Mohsin Mortgage for everything that you've done for me. And I look forward to the future. What the future's on hold a little bit right now, but I look forward to it, and I'm going to continue to be productive and continue to work ahead here and on my home project.
And with that, folks, stay well.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.